movie review on the internet today, the A-List Review. I am your host, the Game Changer, Wes Troop. And as you can see, it's time to go back to the theater. And ladies and gentlemen, this past weekend marked the release of another Stephen King film adaptation. My review of the 2019 horror remake, Pet Sematary. Coming up now.
The Creed family has just moved from Boston to the small town of Ludlow, Maine. While exploring the woods in the back of their property, Ellie, the family's 9-year-old daughter, discovers an odd pet cemetery. When the family cat, Church, passes away, Lewis, the patriarch of the family, is shown a special place to bury him by their neighbor, Judd. The two end up burying Church on a sacred Indian burial ground, and the next morning they find that Church has returned home, but not the same. After a horrific tragedy, Lewis decides to take matters into his own hands and try to bring someone else back to life. So what did I think of Pet Sematary? I thought it's an average horror remake. I'm not familiar with the source material, the Stephen King book of course, and while it does follow certain elements, there were a number of things that changed, including them switching which child dies, which is not a spoiler by the way, because it's in the trailer, which we'll talk about a little later, which has fans split. The film can be creepy at times, such as the kids wearing the animal masks, and the atmosphere during the nighttime scenes has some eeriness to them. There are a couple of jump scares, thankfully not too many, and while they didn't get me, some of the audience were startled. I was never really scared at all here, or even thrilled. I think a big reason was that even though they changed things up to surprise fans, they showed way too many things off in the previews, so I always knew what would be coming. They pretty much show everything except the last 10 minutes of the movie. Speaking of the ending, I hated it and thought it was a truly awful decision that felt very forced. The pacing also felt off, as there's a lot of build up to the daughter dying, and then when she's brought back, everything feels rushed and it sprints towards the finish line. The subplot dealing with Rachel's past and her sister also kept taking me out of the movie, and I always sort of rolled my eyes when it would cut back to it. Rachel and Lewis also should win the award for Worst Parents of the Decade based on some of the very stupid decisions that the characters make. I was with the film for the most part until a certain point, and then it just started getting silly and actually made me laugh out loud unintentionally a number of times. I loved Church, the evil cat, and he and Ellie playing the good and evil versions are definitely the best parts of the film. The rest of the performances felt a little bit uninspired, some odd accent choices, and I felt that a different casting might have helped. The cast stars Jason Clarke as Lewis Creed, the doctor who learns of the ancient burial grounds and makes a drastic decision, Amy Simons as Rachel Creed, Lewis's wife who begins thinking back to her past with all of the talk about death, John Lithgow as Jug Crandall, the Creed's neighbor who befriends them and tells Lewis about the cemetery and what's happened in the past, and Jete Lawrence as Ellie Creed, the daughter who's brought back to life. Pet Sematary has some interesting ideas and can be creepy once in a while, but sometimes as far as remakes go, leaving things alone is better. I'm going to give it the rating of meh. It's okay.
Alright, well that's the show. I'll be back with another review very soon. But until then, don't forget to subscribe right here on YouTube. YouTube.com/Westside515. Like the show on Facebook, Facebook.com/WestTroopAlist. And of course, you can follow me on the Twitter and the Instagram @WestAlist. Until next time, Troop out.